Here are some lessons from transfers that we've learned about in the past. And the Wirtz Real Madrid link, the slow nature of this transfer, at this point, when we've had days and days and days of speculation, excitement, planes here, you know transfers are real when people are tracking planes. Lots of different people talking about the tactical style. We will talk about that more on the channel. Lots of other transfers swirling around as well. It just feels like a constant, I guess, dopamine hit for Liverpool fans. And it feels like Liverpool have stolen a march on everyone else in the Premier League. So when there's all this good news almost constantly coming out about the team, there's a Premier League parade. Obviously, there was bad news around that parade. And, our thoughts and prayers are still very much with the families of the people affected by that. It's hard to move on from those kind of things. So I'm going to go back to transfers here, guys. Ultimately, if you then hear Real Madrid are interested in a player, is it because they're trying to get more money out of us? No. Is it because Wirtz doesn't want to come to Liverpool? No. Ultimately, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Juve, all these big institutes, they're all very similar. They all want to be involved with the big names and to impress their fans. And when they've had an underwhelming season, of course, they will look to quieten down some of the discourse around their club by saying, hey, we're involved in all the biggest things. We're big. Hey, of course the biggest players still want to come here. Are we interested? Sure, we'll take a look. Oh, we'll take a look. But what they are also saying is, yeah, we weren't really involved in this, and really we're just trying to catch up at this point. Liverpool stole a march on all these other sides. At one point, Wirtz was front and centre of Man City's interest, Real Madrid's interest, Bayern Munich's interest. The fact that we've even gotten the transfer to this point, frankly, shows what's really going on at Liverpool and what has been going on at Liverpool for quite some time. Liverpool's transfer committee isn't just about stats. Is this kid good? Does he have a good personality? It's about maintaining, building, and harbouring great relationships with clubs, but also with players. And I think there are different ways that you do that, right? First of all, the experience when you go to a training ground. Liverpool laid down a foundation by letting Leverkusen train in their facilities when they visited town. First of all, it's a nice bit of diplomacy from Hughes and those guys. But secondly, it also then shows the players, hey, do you see this over here? Oh, take a little look over there. This pitch? Oh, we just train on that every day. Don't even worry about that. These are, I know that it's a lot more complex than that, but these are kind of moments that players look around and go, oh, like, what we have is good, but what they have here is a great lifestyle. The way I could be treated as a player here, imagine that. Speaking to my friends, speaking to other players in the industry, Liverpool have good reputation. Now, I know that Real Madrid have a massive reputation, but it also then comes down to personal taste, and it comes down to getting to know people. It comes down to shaping what people's expectations are. And Michael Edwards is great. He's a mover and a shaker in the industry. He's someone that people see as exciting. Chelsea were interested, Manchester United were interested, Real Madrid themselves were interested in what Michael Edwards has been building. And these models attract players. When they speak to people who are competent in the industry, Arne Slot, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, the owners of the club, all these kind of people, they realise, like, oh, there is more to this than just a bunch of a facade putting up agent and, then a load of other people who kind of surround them and, they become yes men, whatever you want to call it. They realise when an institute is serious. Now, that's not to say that Liverpool are the only serious institute. I'm sure that Real Madrid are an extremely serious institute when it comes to football. You can tell that. But frankly, where would Florian Wirtz fit in this side? Alongside Vinicius, a player who at the moment is rumoured to be leaving the club at some point? Alongside Mbappe? Alongside Jude? Alongside whoever else they choose to sign this summer? Alongside Rodrigo, who apparently could be leaving anyway, but you get my point. He's not going to play a Rodrigo role in this side. He'll want to go to a team and be built around rather than being built through. And I think that puts, again, Liverpool in a great position. We're a side who are going to build with him. We're a side who are going to build around him. He's going to be in that starting 11 no matter what. Obviously, if he's injured, he'll be out, but no matter what. And there is a roadmap to success at Liverpool that, broadly, I think a lot of people like Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Trent Alexander-Arnold will have been sold on at Real Madrid. But guess what? Real Madrid will have sold a lot of those players on that success plan this season too. And Real Madrid won the sum of F all this season. They squandered a huge opportunity to do something great with brilliant players. Now, but they didn't spend all that much. Spend is not the only thing that you judge a club on. Of course, it's great not to spend that much. And of course, being able to tempt other people away because there are other massive benefits to your club is something that institutionally has been built over years. Guess what? On a huge amount of spend. But what we're looking at here is a transfer with someone like Florian Wirtz, who has, first of all, been humble throughout his career, a big theme this season in football, who has been human, who has been a brilliant player, season on season on season, but has also been that before he got the accolades, before he got the interest, before people were looking at on Wirtz. He was brilliant before that. And that's where someone like Michael Edwards comes in, because he's not been tracking him since 2 years ago when he was winning, well, a year ago when he was winning the Bundesliga Player of the Season. He's been tracking him since before he was coming out of the academy at Leverkusen, since, he was obviously cross town into the Leverkusen academy. He's been tracking him for a very, very, very long time. Since 2020 is what a lot of people are saying, which would have meant back into his teenage years he was tracking him. And, there will have been data that will have backed that up. That is what gets you a transfer done. That is what makes you into an institute that invests in people rather than just in investments. And that level of investment that Liverpool have had has shown why Arne Slot has become the manager. Yes, we held conversations with Xabi Alonso, with Ruben Amorim, with all the big names in Europe, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of names that were involved in that haven't even been mentioned at this point. But at the same time, that is why if someone chooses not to come to the club, and I'm talking about the history of our transfers at this point, I never really balk at that. Willian chose to go to Chelsea. Who else chose to go elsewhere? Obviously we backed out of the deal for, who was that guy? Fekir. There have been lots of other people who've ended up going somewhere else at some point, right? And that's great. That's cool. But at the same time, when those guys chose to go somewhere else, I thought, well, did we really want you in the first place then? If you don't understand how special Liverpool is and you're not obsessed in pulling on that red shirt, do we really want you at the club? Not because it's like, well, we're only going to play we're only going to play the players that want to be here. No, because I want to have, we're living in a capitalist society, so how much really are you going to have a great relationship with the players? But I want someone that at least invests in the same idea of the dream as me. What's an idea of a dream? Do you invest in the idea of the dream of the dream of the dream? But the point is, you're investing in a collective idea and a relationship with the fans, a relationship with the commercial set of fans as well, where you kind of feed into that. And if you were attracted away to go to Chelsea, if you're attracted to go to Real Madrid, if you're attracted to go somewhere else, maybe you're not that guy. Maybe you were that guy, and that's fine, but maybe you're not that guy right now. So maybe I don't need that as a fan. Maybe I didn't miss Willian. Maybe I thought Willian would have been fantastic under Rafa Benitez. Maybe I thought there were definitely other transfers in that era. Malouda was another one. Do you remember Malouda? Malouda was like a great French player back in that era. And we would have been cooking with him. But he just didn't come in the end. He went to Chelsea. Guess what? That guy ended up training with the under-23s, the under-18s at some point in his time at Chelsea. Because players go to other clubs and they have different relationships with those teams. Liverpool, maybe Liverpool would do that. I'd be interested to see if Liverpool, it sounds like a pretty weird thing to do, and it was a pretty weird era, frankly, in football, but you end up with those kind of relationships in football. That's a weird thing to do. Anyway, the Wirtz interest, or the interest in Wirtz from Real Madrid, is there, apparently, obviously of course it comes from Marca, of course it comes from ES someone, because a mouthpiece of the club puts something out there because people get annoyed. Because in the same way as right now people are saying, well, it's because of the facilities at Bayern Munich or any of these kind of things that we didn't win that transfer. Because they have to rationalise this stuff. Real Madrid are never going to say we're in for him. They'll say, oh, we're looking at him. Yeah, I guess we can maybe in time, who knows? Because that's the way that Real Madrid operate. I'm glad I'm not a fan of a club that have to put headlines out there that go, well, we might be interested in this, just sort of please some fans. I know some people say FSG do that. I don't think FSG do that. I think it's silly to think that FSG do that. I think it's silly because ultimately that's not their transfer model in the first place. We don't just go for just the big names. So, you know, it's great to do some tactical evaluation. And yes, I think we're in for Caicedo. Yes, I think we were in for Kvaratskhelia. I definitely think we're in for Kvaratskhelia at some point. Especially considering now we're willing to spend this Wirtz money. I think Kvaratskhelia would have been a similar influence to Wirtz. But that's kind of my point. Like, I think, you know, we were looking for people who wanted to be invested in the project, and ultimately Kvaratskhelia went to PSG. If that's his vibe, cool. We don't need you. That's the vibe here at Liverpool right now. You want to be part of this big project? You want to be part of potentially, you know, going back to back in the Premier League? Brilliant. Come and do it. Come and see that parade. 1.5 million, 1.6 million people descended on Liverpool. Do you want to be part of that? Or do you want to go somewhere else where there's a lovely lifestyle, there's a lovely moment there? It's not quite the same. Also, maybe you're not into that. Let me know in the comments below and I will chat to you guys. There is a Discord down there. Get into that Discord, talk about the Wirtz transfer, talk about all the other transfers happening this summer. There is also a super chat if you do want to thank the channel for what's going on. And there's also a Patreon if you want to be a long-term contributor to what we're doing over here. Appreciate you guys and I'll chat to you in a while. Wash off. Bye.